Hey YouTube, it's Jamie, smoking in my car. Smoking my basket pipe, my basket LaRocca, with some Hoffman Distinguished Gentleman. Here. Jonathan sent me this. It's delicious. I'll have to read about it. I don't know anything about it. I know it's a Virginia ribbon cut. Might have maybe a little Cavendish, or I don't think there's any LaRocca in it. Yeah, there might be Burley, maybe a little bit of Cavendish. Gold and red Virginias, I would guess. Anyway, it's pretty good, and it's got some age on it, so it's very mellow. That might be why I'm thinking there's Cavendish in it, because it's aged, and Cavendish kind of, I think, reads as aged Virginia somehow, or vice versa. So I've alluded to having published a few books in the past in some of my other videos. And I also said a couple videos ago that I got a new manuscript accepted for publication from Inner Traditions, which is a big kind of mind, body, spirit, esoteric publishing house. They're the big one. And that's a pretty huge deal. I mean, it doesn't mean tons of money, but not enough to quit my job. But I mean, I could use it as a springboard for that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about getting this particular idea out into the astrological community, and that would be the best way for me to do that. My 3 previous books, my first one came out in 2018. It's called Myth, Magic, and Masonry. Myth, Magic with a K at the end, CK, and Masonry. That came out in 2018. That's about, well, what it says: Freemasonry, mythological motifs, ceremonial magic in Freemasonry, Mithraism as it pertains to certain Masonic symbolic devices, etc. So that was Myth, Magic, and Masonry. My second book was called Approaching the Middle Chamber. And it was sort of a guide to the 7 liberal arts and sciences from the Masonic perspective. Because there's a lecture in the 2nd degree of Masonry, the Fellowcraft degree. There's a lecture that somewhat briefly deals with the 7 liberal arts and sciences, which are grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. Freemasons are sort of charged to study those subjects. I presented them in the context of Masonic ritual and the broader Western esoteric tradition. That was my second book. That came out on Laudable Pursuit was the imprint for my first 2 books. Then my third book came out in, I want to say, 2021. And that was The Archetypal Temple. And it was about the temple archetype as it is sort of arrayed from the most physical, material temple in the terrestrial sphere, all the way through the various hermetic expanse of the temple archetype, up to the invisible celestial temple, etc., heaven, things like that. Just how the temple archetype has, we build a temple as well. Freemasons are temple builders, right? Freemasons are metaphysical temple builders. They're not stonemasons. Stonemasons are physical temple builders. Freemasons are metaphysical temple builders. So I posit in that book that the central project of Freemasonry is metaphysical temple building, and that each Freemason is a temple builder on the various hermetic planes. You build a mnemonic temple, a temple of memory. You build a moral and ethical temple, an intellectual temple, an astral temple, a physical temple. I mean, there's just this whole expanse from density to rarity of the temple archetype. That was my third book. And that came out on Tria Prima Press. Another, kind of small Masonic imprint. These books, because they've dealt with Freemasonry pretty directly, have been published by Masonic publishers on Masonic imprints. So not a lot of exposure to the general public, let's say. Although sometimes those people run into Masonic titles. Anyway, they did well in their sphere, in the Masonosphere. And I'm thankful because I got to go all over the country speaking and doing presentations around those three books, and lodges would bring me out, and I'd sell tons and tons of books, and it was really great. And I could just keep going on with that. But this next manuscript, like I was saying, is an astrological manuscript. So it is not bound to the confines of the Masonic demographic. It's I'm calling it the astrological Shem HaMephorash. And the Shem HaMephorash is the explicit name of God, the 72-lettered name of God. It has to do with the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephorash, and what that has to do with the quinaries of astrology. 5-degree arc segments on the ecliptic. You know how the ecliptic, or apparent path of the sun, is divided into the 12 zodiacal signs, 12 30-degree segments into which the sun, processes? Well, there are smaller arc segments, like the quinaries, which are 5 degrees, and there are 72 of those. So on any given day, the sun goes through 72 arc segments of the ecliptic diurnally. But then annually, the sun goes sort of backwards, actually, through the those same 5 degrees, because a 360-degree circle is, of course, we get that because of the year, a solar year being 365 degrees. That's why we have a 360-degree circle. I think we've talked about this before. Yeah, the circle comes from the astronomy behind it. A solar year. Everything that we talk about regarding space and time comes from astronomy. That's why it's the sort of keystone of the 7 liberal arts. Anyway, I'll tell you more about the new book next time, because I really want to work on how do I explain it to people. I don't want it to be so specialized and unapproachable. Talk to you later.